Good day. It's lesson 81 today, word problems. So there's really nothing new in today's math. It's all using the how to divide and multiply fractions and decimals that you've been working on for the last week or so. So in the first one, to make a pie, a recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of blueberries. How many cups of blueberries are needed for 3 pies? So what it's actually asking is, if you were going to the store, you need 3/4 of a cup of blueberries for each pie. I'm making 3 pies. How many cups of blueberries would that actually be? So what they want you to do is go 3/4 times 3. Now, if you remember how to multiply fractions and whole numbers, you're just going to multiply across the top. So 3 times 3 is 9, so I need 9/4. And then how many times, we can't leave it as 9/4 because that's not an answer in cups, right? So how many times does 4 go into 9 to figure out how many whole cups we have? 4 goes into 9 2 times with 1 left over, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8, so and we have 9. So you need 2 1/4 cups. Make sure you remember your unit for today. It's always important, but I would say like 2 1/4 isn't a full answer. It says how many cups do you need? 2 1/4 cups. Okay? That's number 1. You go do it. Number 2, Kira's exercise routine takes 2/3 of an hour. All right? 2/3 of an hour. She exercises 4 days a week. How many hours a week does she exercise? So she exercises 2/3 of an hour times 4 days in a week. So you're going to do it exactly like you did the first question. Multiply across the top to figure how many thirds there are, and then take your bottom number and divide it into the top to figure out how many whole hours that would be, and then what's left over, okay? This is just like the question you just did. Go answer number 2. 3, how many people will 9 pizzas feed if each person eats 3/4 of a pizza? Okay, this is a dividing question. So we have 9 pizzas divided by 3/4 because every person eats 3/4, right? Now, if you remember how to divide a fraction, you go 9 times 4 to figure out how many quarters there are. So 9 times 4, and then you divide it by 3 because you got to give a section of 3 pieces to each person. So 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So 9 pizzas, if everybody eats 3/4 of a pizza, will feed 12 people. Okay? Remember your unit. How many people will it feed? 12 people. Okay? That's number 3. Number 4. Paul cuts a rope into pieces. Each piece is 3/5 of a meter long. The rope was 60 meters long. How many pieces has Paul made? Okay, this is exactly like the question we just did. 60 meters divided by 3/5 pieces. Okay, so you're going to do it exactly the same way. 60 times 5, and then divide it by 3. Okay, if you need to use a calculator, you can do that. Right? Remember, the question asks, how many pieces has he made? So your answer should say this many pieces. Okay? Go do question 4. Question 5. Takes 3/4 of an hour to pick the peaches on 1 tree. How long will it take to pick the peaches on 12 trees? This is exactly like the first questions. 3/4 of an hour for 1 tree. How many for 12 trees? Multiply across the top. 3 times 12 is 36 over 4. And then you need to reduce this. How many times does 4 go into 36? That's how many, and then how much is left over, if there's anything left over. How long will it take? This was in hours, so your answer should be in hours. Okay? Go answer number 5. Number 6. Anne took 1/5 of a pie. She gave 2/3 of her piece to Ron. What fraction of a pie did Ron get? Okay, so Ron got 2/3 of her 1/5. So 2/3 of 1/5, which we learned in this unit actually means times 1/5. Super easy, multiply across the top. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 5 is 15. So he got 2/15 of a pie. Okay, and this one, it actually said what fraction of a pie did Ron get, so that's what you should have for your unit. I was just thinking maybe you didn't have to have a unit, but it's better to have it than not, okay? And, oh, that was number 6, right? All right, 7. What fraction of a year is a month? Okay, how many months are in a year? A month is 1 out of how many? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. A month is 1/12 of a year. What fraction of a decade is a year? A decade is like the 70s, the 50s. So how many years would be in a decade, right? Think of decimeter. That DEC part of a word at the beginning always means the same thing. Means 10. So a decade is 1/10. They now want to know what fraction of a decade is a month. So what is 1/12 of 1/10? That's what they're asking. What fraction is a month of a decade? Remember, of actually means times. So you're going to just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and that'll tell you what fraction a month is of a decade. Okay? Go finish 7. 8. Philip gave away 35%. So 35% are gone of his hockey cards. What fraction did he keep? Okay, so he originally had a collection that was complete. He had 100% of them. It was his collection. He gave away 35%. So what's left? That becomes a 9, that's a 0, that's a 10. 10 taken away 5 is 5, 9 taken away 3 is 6. So he kept 65%, okay? Philip put his remaining cards in a scrapbook. Each page holds 18 cards. 18 cards, got it. And he filled 46 2/9 pages. How many cards did he put in the scrapbook? Okay, lots of ways to answer this. I'll show you the way that makes sense to me, but if there's a way that you like to do it better and we both come out with the same answer, you're just as right. So, 18 cards per page, 46 cards. So this is a timesing question. There are 46 times 18 cards on a page, right? So the way that I would do this is figure out what the whole numbers multiplied were and then what 2/9 of 18 was. You could also change 2/9 to a decimal and then multiply it out. There's lots of ways to do it. So the way I did it was 46 times 18. So 8 times 6 is 48. Carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32, and 4 is 36. Skip 1 over. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. 8, 12, 8. Okay, so 18 times 46 is 828. Now we have to figure out 18 times 2/9. And remember, when you're multiplying, you just multiply right across the top. So 18 times 2 is 36 9ths. How many times does 9 go into 36? Because we can't leave it as a mixed number or an improper fraction. So how many times does 9 go into 36? 9, 18, 27, 36. Goes in 4 times. So 18 times 2/9 is 4. So if we take this 4 and add it to our 828, we get our total, 832. So how many cards did he put in the scrapbook? 832 cards. Okay, remember that unit. Okay, number 9, getting close to the end. 2/3 of Helen's age is half of Dale's age. Okay, so we're gonna draw the linear models like we did earlier. So this is Helen. Helen is 2/3 of Dale. So Dale, there, Helen is 2/3 of Dale. Got it. Dale is 10 years older than Helen. So this piece that sticks out is worth 10. But that also means this is worth 10, this is worth 10, this is worth 10, and this is worth 10. So it says, how old is Helen? I will leave you to add 2 10s and figure out how old Helen is. Okay? Now, last question. Ron's age, so here's Ron's age, here's Ron, is 2/3 of Mark's age. Okay, so I got 2/3 and this guy needs 3/3. Okay, and who's the other guy? Mark. Ron and Mark. Mark is 3/5. Aha, I didn't read the whole question. Ron is 3/5 of Sarah's age. Okay, so if Sarah's down here and she's 5ths, and this is Sarah, right? And Ron is 3/5 of Sarah's age. Oh, my drawing's terrible. Well, that's not really bad. I can just fix that. So this was Mark, right? And then Ron is 2/3. So here's Ron, okay? Now, Sarah is 9 years older than Ron. So now, remember, Ron goes to here on Sarah. So this piece that sticks out has to equal 9. So what are each of these boxes worth if in total they have to be worth 9? Okay, so that would tell you what each box is worth, and then you'll be able to figure out how old is Mark. Okay, that's it for today. Have a good day.